Welcome back, guys, to Wires Up TV. We are breaking down the 2023 Pacific Championships Kiwis team that was released yesterday. And look, off the bat, it is still a solid Kiwi squad. We'll go through it. Obviously, a few interesting changes due to injuries. I know there's been a few injuries pulled out, mainly in the hooker position. Brandon Smith, JMK, Phoenix Crossland. So those hookers stocks are quite low at the moment. But still a great squad nonetheless. Obviously, we'll go into the back line there. Your Joseph Manu, your Ronald Mulatalo, then you got Jermaine Isako, Jerome Hughes, Dylan Brown, Charles Nickel Klogstad, um, Tomoko, Matthew Tomoko. Who else have I missed? Keanu Kinney, um, and Kieran Foran as well. So it's a pretty solid back line. It's interesting though because I think Madge has different ideas of how to use that back line. I know he spoke with Michael Burgess on the Big League podcast and saying, and they asked the question, because CNK's had such a good season, does that mean that he is the starting fullback? And Madge again wasn't so much committed to um, that idea. He says he's got something he's working around it. So I imagine it might go again to Joey Manu at fullback. It's a great style in terms of the work rate that Joey does from the back, but it also kind of limits how effective you could use him as an amazing center that I think is just so much more effective, especially with the likes if you're going up against the likes of Latrell is out. If you've seen the battles in the Kiwis 2018, 2019, specifically Latrell and Joey Manu, those were epic battles, and in some cases Joey won those battles. I think the 2018, for example. So it's like, why wouldn't you put him out there against the Tony Staggs or Stephen Crichton? That would be a great matchup for him. And using him as fullback is good, but CNK, his defensive work from the back, I'd be more impressed with maybe having a CNK and using Joey as that strike center that we need him to be. The other thing is, the likes of Will Warbrick, I think, have unfortunately missed out. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, although is chosen to represent Tonga moving forward, but I know he's injured, so. But that calls in Jermaine Isako, and he's had an amazing year. And Jermaine's just a quality player, and I think he's been specifically brought in also for the goal kicking element. So I have no doubt that he'll take over those responsibilities. So, and then you go obviously into the centres. Like I said, Timoko is damaging. If you could probably see him on the left hand side or right hand side, depending on how they play it, but he is a wrecking ball. He'll be more than up for it, I think, against any centre, and I'd love to see him really, really have a good series. And then you got the likes of Mulatalo, probably not his best season, but in the Kiwis camp, you're hoping that he has a great series. We love his speed, we love his finishing, we love his attitude. So I'm looking forward to that. And then you've got a kid like Keanu Kinney. I don't know too much about him, but he, from all reports, he's an up and comer, and so it's great locking him in. And then if you plan to use him later on in the track, in the next few years, from all reports, he's a really good prospect. Um, and then you got your old staples like Kieran Foran, who at this stage I'm interested to see how Madge uses him. The fact I thought he might have been the one to retire as well. He's been in the Kiwi system for so long now, a great servant of the Kiwis. But you're thinking, well, Jesse Bromwich, the Bromwich brothers have kind of pretty much retired, and Jordan Rapana hasn't been selected. So you're thinking, man, we should really be aiming at getting Foreign. Maybe his time is done, but he's still valuable in the Madge's eyes. He does provide a lot of utility and actually a lot of option in the halves if things don't work out. So, but look, talking about our halves, Jerome Hughes, Dylan Brown. Now, Dylan probably hasn't had the best season. Probably not the best time for him coming into the Kiwis camp without so much time to play. But you never know. The Kiwis camp can help lift the spirits, the morale. I know he's been through a lot this season. And then likewise for Jerome. Jerome kind of had a decent season. I think it wasn't the best ending how he would have liked it, and probably for mine wasn't his best form. But in saying that, those were the halves from the World Cup, and you want to, if those are the halves you're going to build around, you need to really solidify that combination moving forward and develop it and grow it, and that's going to be one of the challenges for the Kiwis is developing these combinations. So I'm looking forward to that back line. Look, it's good. It's got a lot of options, a lot of variety. It's got power. If you use Joey Manu in the centres, um, if you had a centre pairing of Tomoko and Manu, and then you got Isako, and you got on the end of that Ronald Mulatalo, Ronaldo. It's a good back line. Um, and for mine, it's probably on par with Atoa Samoa. It can match up as well with the likes of Kangaroos. So, but yeah, the halves is going to be the key for me. Now, moving into the forwards, we got Danny Levi and Fa'amanu Brown. Now, those are the hooker options. Now, the both of them played for Toa Samoa last year, and I understand people's frustration that these guys are swapping back and forth. I think Danny Levi's already played for the Kiwis. That's just the thing we're in at the moment with the international game is that players can chop and change every year almost. I would love it to be locked down into a 4-year cycle without changing. That would be my personal opinion. I don't like that it changes every year, but I suppose they want to try and grow the game a little bit by getting as much options available, but in a way it devalues the jersey a little bit. But what I do love about these guys are homegrown talents. These, Danny Levi and especially Farmani Brown from Hornby, Christchurch. I think he's going to do a good job. Now it's not the greatest. I think both of them been in and out of cup, so they're not gonna, they're not on the level of a Harry Grant, and that type of Ben Hunt, consistent first graders. But if you can get them to do a job and have a game plan around how you use them, that's the best you can get in my view. But they've been called up to do a job, and hopefully they can. Then you've got the front row, Fisher Harris, and for me it's Leota. It's those two. You have to start those two. I think you follow that Penrith model with those two starting, setting the tone in the front row, and they're your building blocks for me. I think they provide so much together as a combo that I feel it will feed off onto the other players. So that was what I would do. Now, going into the back row for me was a little bit light. My personal opinion. At the moment, you've only got Britton Nikora and Isaiah Papali'i as your main back row options. I probably would have loved a new quarter to come in, or Jordan Ricky. I know both are injured, unfortunately. I think having three back rowers would have been the right balance for this squad, but it is what it is, and I think especially Britain will do a good job. Isaiah, I suppose, an up and down form with the Tigers, but hopefully he can come back solid for the Kiwis. And then you round it off with Joseph Tapine. And I think going back to the back row, I think they might view Nelson, as a back row option, Nas, and so there's a few things to weigh up. And again, Madge is kind of spoiled for riches in some of these areas, especially in the forwards. I remember a couple of years back in the Kiwis, we struggled for forwards, so it's almost he has a plethora of options, and it's about getting the right balance for me. Um, and then Joseph Tapine as your own kind of lock. I've always considered more Joey Tapine more of a front row how he plays. After watching Tohu a lot this year, I prefer kind of like a Tohu style distributor. I always thought Isaac Liu was probably the best option, but obviously probably timing for him was to move on. And a lot of these guys are on the back end, and they've been great servants for the Kiwis. But so you got to kind of rebuild now. But there's not much lock options. If you like, I reviewed the Kangaroos, and you had Cam Murray, you had Jake Travojevic, you had Isaiah Yeo, you had Patrick Carrigan. You had four options there in the lock position. For us, it looks like we've only got Joe Tapine really. Leo Thompson at a distant option, Naufahu White, these are more just your impact forwards off the bench. And same for Griffin Neem. So, and Woodamu Greg. So you're really limited in terms of what creation you have from the middle of the field. A lot of it will be dependent on Joey Tarpiner to kind of direct that shape. And again, might not be a typical what I would say Warriors style or Penrith style, but you probably have to say it's going to be more of a traditional power through the middle and then direct ball to the halves. So, which I'm not against. I think if you're dominant enough, that can work. But I like the option of having play through the middle. It's not to say Joseph Tapine can't do it. I'm just saying he's more inclined to be a strong head up type forward. But look, that's a solid squad. And like I said, some of these guys, Leo Thompson, I've loved him, and I'm happy he's getting into the Kiwi system. I think he's going to be a valuable asset. Griffin Neem, similar. These are guys like that are homegrown Kiwi talents. Griffin Neem from the West Coast, so that's a homegrown one. And Nofahu White is from, believe he's from Auckland, and he's had a good season as well. So I like the size of it. I like that the forwards feel like it's going to be a good matchup. The problem area is hooker and the halves. Have they had enough time? Has Dylan Brown had enough time to really have a good season? Jerome, didn't end the best way in my view. Can we get enough out of these guys to win a competition? You're probably going to favour the Kangaroos. The Tor Samoa matchup is going to be very difficult. That is not a given. And it'll be more of a away game with I think a lot of Tor Samoa supporters. So you got to say this is a squad that is kind of going through a rebuild. Bromwich brothers gone, Jordan Rapana, a few others. We've got potentially 7 debutants there, and we're trying to rebuild a little bit moving into the 2026 World Cup. But a big opportunity. I thought Nathan Cleary dropping out is a big opportunity to go and win this competition. But it's going to be a hard task. But it's whether you can get your combinations right and similar to a Tor Samoa, how quickly can you get everything moving quickly? How quickly can you adjust? Because the Kangaroos are going to be off the bat in sync. They're just so quick in that terms of they can get, even though they play Queensland, New South Wales, when they get into a Kangaroo squad, they can just easily fit in. Especially you think about that Thurston era, they were just so transitionally really quickly. Like it was almost like clockwork how they operated. So you have to say we need to get to that level where it's the same halves pairing, same spine every year, and it's clockwork. Unfortunately, we're not there. We've got too many injuries at the moment, but hopefully it's a good competition. But look, this isn't a bad Kiwi squad. It's just saying we're going to miss the likes of Brandon Smith, Jeremy Marshall King. I thought was going to have a breakout year. Phoenix Crossland would have been huge in this case, but it is what it is. You got to find a way to win it. It falls back on Madge, his staff, getting this team as quickly as possible in sync and getting the job done. But that wraps up, guys, the Kiwi squad, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Catch you later.